and Pennsylvania.
Look at that, she even wants to walk away with the mic. She started 2 minutes early and only finished 3 minutes late. But she was going to do all of that in 5 minutes. And you know how you can, on your computer, you can make the instead of double space, you can make it really small? That's Viv's way of doing things. Okay. Now again, here's one of the big changes in this schedule. Congressman Mike Kelly is going to speak now instead of at 11:30. So I don't believe in spending a whole lot of time on introductions when you know who it is. So I'm just going to ask Mike Kelly to come up here and talk to us.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. You know, I know we come under a lot of criticism, and a lot of people try as best they can to divide the country, because I really do believe the message is if we can divide them, we can conquer them. I got to tell you, my friends, this Congress and the folks you sent last November are taking the first steps that are necessary to get us back on the right course. Now, this weekend has an awful lot to do with who we are. This has nothing to do with Republicans or Democrats or Libertarians or Independents. This has to do with Americans. And I know the President speaks loudly about that. And then once he leaves the lectern, he starts his class warfare. And he talks about those of us who cling to our Bibles and our guns. And he talks about those people on the radical right. And they talk about the Tea Party dragging down America. And they talk, and they talk, and they talk. And we know that it's easy to talk the talk, but it's hard to walk the walk. This country is great because all of us have worked together to make it great. And on 9/11, on a beautiful fall morning, 19 Al-Qaeda jihadists who had come into our society, assimilated with us, and at the whole time were plotting our annihilation. They were here. Some of them on the FBI's terrorist list. Somehow, they get under the wire. And what happened on the morning of 9/11 was much the same as what happened on December 7th. Things have been too good for too long. We had slept well for a long time because we really believed we were safe. We didn't recognize what was going on out there. 4 commercial airplanes, flown in the World Trade Center, the Pentagon. The one that didn't make it was aborted by those people on board in Shanksville. All with one message and one message only: these people hate us. They hate us because of what we are and what we stand for. They hate our democratic way of life. They hate the fact that we have personal freedoms and liberties. And you start to wonder, as we've gone forward, where we have allowed ourselves to go in the last 10 years. Now, I don't want this to be a political speech, but I want you to think of one thing. If you thought the War of 1812 was important, you better think about the Battle of 2012. This is just not a fight that we must fight. This is a battle we must win. We are being changed forever. The fabric of this country is being changed forever. These are not just Democrats, by the way, or Republicans. These are new wave progressives who have a longer life than any toxic waste you could possibly imagine. And you can go back a half a century and find out we had the same concerns then that we have now. We have got to remain resolute. We have got to remain steadfast in what we believe and what we know is right. My generation grew up being told that there's 2 things you never discuss: religion and politics. And unfortunately, we listened. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it is a duck. What you are seeing today is fundamentally changing what this country is and what this country always has been. Now, a little over a week ago, the American Israeli Education Foundation invited myself and another group of congresspeople to go to Israel. While we were there, they were being shelled constantly. They don't put their head on a pillow at night thinking they're safe. They go to sleep knowing they're going to be attacked. And while we were there, we had a chance to talk to Prime Minister Netanyahu. The first thing he said was, Congressman, we're glad you're here, and we want you to understand, you are us and we are you. Our Judeo-Christian beliefs are well-rooted, our values are the same. And what the Prime Minister said is the reason they attack Israel is because we represent you in this part of the world. We are the only democracy that exists, true democracy. Not a vote where you vote and somebody has a gun to your head making sure you vote the right way, but a true democracy where Arabs and Muslims serve in the Knesset and serve in their judicial system. Only in Israel does that happen. No place else in the Mideast. We must understand that we are truly a nation at war. This weekend there's a heightened terrorist alert. And again, go back in your mind's eye to 9/11. Who could possibly have imagined that this nation would come under attack from folks who were living with us, had blended into our society, had found a way to get on commercial airlines and turn those into weapons? It had happened before in other parts of the world, but did we think it could happen in America? No, we didn't. We didn't think that way. Well, now we know. My greatest fear is that the 10 years, and we've moved away from it, and some people say, I don't even like to think about it because it was so horrible. Are you kidding me? Not only do we need to think about it, we need to instill it in the minds of our children of what could possibly happen and what is going on around the world right now. Why do these people hate us? Why do they want to annihilate us? What is it about us that they fear? Our freedom, our liberty. Where else could you meet on a Saturday morning in public like this and talk about what you don't like about your government? And while we may not all agree, we do agree that we all have the right to speak out. And that's healthy. And as we talk about these wars, and as we talk about what's going on in the Mideast, and we need to talk about it, and we need to debate it aggressively, we're allowed to do that here. No place else in the world can you do that. That's what makes us strong. Now, as much as we come under fire, and I tell you, I got to tell you, I have some friends that sit on the other side of the aisle. They don't know how to get away from this group right now. They need to cut and run, but they can't. And you all know why. They have to get reelected. Now, I got to tell you, if the whole purpose of your life is to run in public office and have a career in public office, you've got the wrong game plan. And I, like you, was very comfortable for many, many years. You know, I come from the private sector. My dad started an automobile agency back in 1953. And I'm not going to go into all that because that's not what you came to hear. But I got to tell you, his story is the same as your story. Our stories are all the same. They may have some little different labels on them in a little different route, but it's all the same. We all had the opportunity to be the best that we could be. No strings attached. We don't need a government picking and choosing winners and losers. We certainly don't need a president who calls a joint session of Congress to give his political stump speech. And I guess he took a page out of Mrs. Pelosi's book when he said, you got to pass it now, and then you can read it later. We are not being obstructionists. You got to measure twice and cut once. You can only spend $1 one time, so you better make sure you're spending it the right way. Now, I would submit to you, those of us that do that are very careful because it's our dollar. When you have a government that's so used to spending and spending and spending with absolutely no idea how to sustain the spending, other than borrowing more money, or God forbid, printing more money, which they do have the ability to do. If you or I would do it, it's counterfeiting, we know that. Destroying the value of our dollar, destroying our economy, destroying our future for our children and our grandchildren. That's the game plan? I don't think so, my friends. I think it is us in the private sector meeting like this every day. And I tell my friends all the time, if you think your friends are getting sick of hearing your message, then turn up the volume and say it more often. In early August, we had the crash in the Mideast, and we lost our SEALs and some of our Army personnel. My cousin John McTighe, who's a retired captain, former leader of SEAL Team 6, and is in San Diego at Coronado. I called John because I was greatly concerned, not only about the loss of life that day, but did it happen to any of the folks that I have the honor of representing? And he said, Cousin Mike, we haven't been able to sort it out yet. I said, well, John, I want you to know something. The entire country is grieving with you. And he said to me, he goes, Cousin Mike, I got to tell you something. We know that every time we go out, there's a risk of not coming back. But we also believe that the reason we go out far overshadows the risk that we take. When you have that type of commitment from the young people of this country, no strings attached, in a faraway land, in a society that they don't understand and we don't understand, fighting for their personal liberties and their personal freedoms. They're willing to put their lives on the line every time they go out. Incredible commitment. Now, I said earlier we're under a heightened terrorist alert this weekend, and we know that since 2001 we've had over 6,000 men and women give their lives. We also know that unlike other wars, this one has a high casualty rate and wounded rate. In World War I and World War II, I think 3 in war, it was about 1.7 wounded for every 1 fatality. In this war, it's 7 times. We have in the neighborhood of about 45,000 to 50,000 wounded warriors who are coming back home. They've paid their price. They've done their commitment. We need to welcome them back and help them in any way that we possibly can. These are great Americans. Now, I will just be brief now and thank you for being here. Also, thank you for sending me to Washington, and I want you to understand something very clearly. I am Northwest Pennsylvania's voice in Washington. I am not Washington's voice in Northwest Pennsylvania. And while we have heated debate in our conference, there's very few of us that don't understand why we went to Washington. People have asked me, boy, it must be something to get down there, and you better be careful, you better remember where you came from. I would say, my gosh, I'm 63. If I don't know where I came from, what the heck I have been doing for the last 63 years? I know who I am. I know where I came from. I got to tell you, I like waking up in my house, going to Mass at my church, having coffee with my friends, and going to my business every day and talking with the folks that have made us successful. I don't particularly relish Washington, D.C. There's some beautiful architecture. The model is a great model, but no, I don't live to go to Washington, D.C. I can't wait till we're out of session so I can get back to Northwest Pennsylvania, to where the real people are, the people who understand what's going on, the people who are totally committed to the country. So, the people ask me, okay, Kelly, you're there. A lady just talked to me. She said, whatever you do, don't pass those free trade agreements. I have other people say, whatever you do, don't listen to what Obama says. I said, the first one I'm thinking about, the second one you didn't even bring up. So there's a lot of wondering out there. I'm just going to offer this to you. Do you know that without this initiative, this Tea Party initiative, and I've been flattered many times, people tell me, oh, we understand that the Tea Party endorses you. I said, you don't understand the Tea Party then. They really don't endorse people. I have had the privilege of speaking before some Tea Party events, and the folks that I get a chance to talk to are the same folks that I talk to in coffee shops after Mass, and the same people that when I'm at McDonald's are standing beside me, and the same people that are all over our little towns and our neighborhoods and our next door neighbors. These aren't unusual folks. These are not far right-wing radicals that don't understand how things work. They are people who really do understand the Constitution, really do understand about personal freedoms and liberties, and really do understand that we are far past the midnight hour. The key, my friends, is to not let them divide us. The key is to stand together, lock arms, have very healthy and vigorous debates, argue with each other about what we believe the strong points of our country are and how we can make them stronger. But at the end of the day, be able to go out and deliver the message. And now, since this is football season, I just want you to, just a brief analogy. Some of you are Browns fans, some of you are Steeler fans, some of you are Penn State fans. I am too, some Pitt fans. I also like a small Catholic school out in South Bend, Indiana. But imagine this, and I want you to think about how things work and what teamwork means. Roethlisberger is in the huddle. He calls a play. But before they break the huddle to go to the line of scrimmage, he says, whoa, wait a minute. Center, are you okay with this play? You think it's a strong enough play? I don't want you to break the huddle unless you're sure it's going to work. You're okay. Okay. Hey, right guard, what do you think? You okay with this play? I mean, I don't want to get you offended, and I know you think we should go over you all the time, but, you know, we're going to try something a little bit. It's okay with you? Oh, okay. Left guard, how about you? You okay with this? Right tackle, left tackle, wideouts, flankers, tight end, tailback. Well, the time would have run out on the play clock. The quarterback's got to call the play. The play you call is usually a play that was devised somewhere way before the game ever started. The strategy is to win the game. You can only win when we stand united. Too many battles have been lost internally over the years. Too many times we have allowed ourselves to be fractured. Too many times we have gone away from the goal, and that is majority in the House, majority in the Senate, in a new resident at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We can do it. We can get there if we remember one thing. United, we succeed. Divided, we lose. I'm not talking to Republicans right now. I'm talking to Americans. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If you know it's wrong, but your party has continued to push it, then get away from your party. Sometimes it asks too much. And certainly days like this, when we're able to gather in town squares all across America, talk about things that we want to talk about, debate things that we want to debate, then we understand the true meaning of what it means to be an American. I thank you, and I can't say how much I appreciate your support in the past. And as we go forward, please, I've said this so many times, you may be sick and tired of hearing it. You do not have to be diplomatic with me, just be direct. I'm 63 years old. I am not seduced by Washington, D.C. at all. The most seductive thing that's ever happened to me in my life is growing up in Western Pennsylvania with my wife and my 4 children. And now we got our 5th grandchild. And I want to make sure that they have the same opportunities that I have. So having said all that, God bless you for being here today. God bless our men and women in uniform, and God bless the United States of America. Thanks so much.